Hey there, welcome back. My name is Katie and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living. And today we're going to do some food preservation. If you caught my video just recently about kind of like a winter garden update, pulling the rest of the pepper plants, planting some onions, well, we have all these peppers to deal with. And so today we're going to do a few projects with these peppers. We are going to freeze dry some and then we're going to also pickle some. I previously had freeze dried some of my peppers that came through the garden and turned them into a cayenne salt and a jalapeno salt. So this is my this is the game plan I have today to do with these that I'm freeze drying. And then also I have, let me just show you. I've showed this to you numerous times. I like to buy my garlic this way at Costco. It's organic, it's 3 pounds, and it's already peeled garlic cloves, and they're about $10. When I get about halfway through the bag, what I typically will do, will either freeze dry it if I'm going to run the freeze dryer, or I will run through the food processor so they're pre-chopped, freeze it in little individual portions, like use a cookie scoop and make little individual portions on a sheet pan, freeze those and throw them in a Ziploc bag so I have fresh chopped garlic in the freezer. Well, today I'm going to freeze dry them because I'm running my freeze dryer, and I typically will get this out of it. I'll get some garlic powder, granulated garlic, whatever you want to call it, from fresh garlic. And while I have my freeze dryer going, I thought, let me pull the liver out of the freezer that I have. So back in July, we had bought half a cow, and I requested the organs along with that. And so we threw that in the freezer, and I'm going to run the liver through the freeze dryer. My game plan is for dog treats, but I may powder it up and hide it in some food. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but I wanted to go ahead and get that in the freeze dryer also. And I think that's all we're going to get done today. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already started working on the garlic and the peppers, and let's go. So for my peppers to go in the freeze dryer, I kind of separated some red ones and some green ones to kind of keep those salts separate. These are, for the most part, like cayenne peppers that I've cut in half, but there's a few other, like some jalapenos that have turned red. I have one poblano in here that was red. And the green ones are, since we were pulling all the peppers out of the garden, even if they were ready or not, these are cayennes that are still green. Mixed them up with some little bitty short jalapenos, some Sugar Rush peach peppers that hadn't turned peach yet. I put the peach ones over here in this section. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm not sure how many of these peppers I want to freeze dry as opposed to pickling. I was trying to do the stubby little ones that wouldn't have serranos in here, that might not be as good pickled. All right, we'll go ahead and get these on the tray. So the freeze dryer that I have comes with 4 of these stainless steel trays. The ones they sell now have 5 trays, I think, for the medium-sized freeze dryer. So this is a Harvest Right freeze dryer, and I do have a discount code in the description box if you're interested in that. They are an investment. They do run sales throughout the year. So if you're interested in checking that out, I do have a couple of videos on freeze drying. All right, let's see if we can get a few more peppers on here. When you're running your freeze dryer, it's better just to go ahead and fill up all your trays while you're doing it, instead of having empty space. Pick out some little peppers. All right, I think that's it for my peppers I'm gonna do. Next, we're gonna take care of our garlic. I'll move these to the side. I'm gonna grab my food processor so we can go ahead and chop up the garlic. It's easier to chop it up now than it is once it's been freeze dried. So let me grab my food processor. All right, I'm not gonna throw all the garlic in here at one time just because I wanna make sure it gets chopped up. So we'll do it in a few batches. So just chop it up till it's a coarse chop, and then just pour it out here on my tray. Throw in some more. I would probably end up moving some of this to another tray, but I just want to see how much space my liver is going to take up, and then I will divvy up if I need to another tray, because typically you want it kind of in a single layer, but it is chopped, so we'll see how this kind of turns out. All right, let me move the food processor out of the way, and then we'll start slicing this liver up. All right, I have never dealt with liver before, so this is new to me, and it's kind of odd feeling, but all I'm going to do is slice it into what I guess would be like a bite-sized piece for the dogs, like this. So I'm going to get all this sliced up, and we'll get this on our freeze dryer trays also. All right, so these are our 4 freeze dryer trays. We got a tray of garlic, 2 of the liver, and then 1 of the peppers. I'm gonna go put these in the freeze dryer real quick and get those going, and then we'll do our pickled peppers. All right, so now we're gonna get our pickled peppers going. I just grabbed a few jars. I'm not sure how many jars I'm gonna need, and so I just grabbed some, and if I need to grab some more, I will. So what I have done is on the stove, I have equal parts of vinegar and water coming to a boil. You just kind of have to guesstimate how much you're going to need for your jars. I have 4 cups each of vinegar and water in my pot on the stove coming to a boil. And to our jars, what we're going to do is we're going to add our little seasonings here. To my smaller half-pint jars, I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of peppercorns. And then to my bigger jars, my pint ones, I'm going to put a 1/2 teaspoon of peppercorns. I like to put the brine seasonings in my jars so I make sure they're divided up. Into my half pints, I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then to my pints, I'll do a 1/2 teaspoon. And then we're going to do, in my half pints, an 1/8 of a teaspoon of mustard seeds. And then a 1/4 teaspoon in my pints. And then I'm going to put just a tad of sugar. Let me grab that real quick. In my half pints, I'm going to put an 1/8 teaspoon. And then in my pints, I'm going to put a 1/4 teaspoon. So now we're just going to put our veggies in here. Last time I made these, and I can link that video. I'm gonna put a whole food preservation playlist at the end of this video if you want to check them out. But I put some carrots in here. I do not have carrots today. I also put red onion that day. I don't have red onion, but I have white onion, so we're gonna be using that. I'm gonna put a couple of cloves, 4-ish cloves of garlic in each jar. I'm going to put a chunk of this white onion, like I said. Just going to kind of divide this up between my jars. All right, and then I'm just going to start packing my peppers. And the easiest way I found to do it is to kind of lay my jar on my side and then just start packing them in there. And these are washed peppers. I'm going to go for the bigger ones in my bigger jars. These Sugar Rush peach peppers are spicier than the jalapeno. So if you like spice, that's a good one to use. Just gonna pack them in here as much as I can. Guess I'll layer some smaller ones up here on the top that'll fit. I have some serranos in here also. All right, so I guess this jar is full, and we'll finish filling up these jars. All right, so we have our jars completely filled. I'm gonna use my little funnel here to put my vinegar water solution in my jars. Just be careful that you're well ventilated and you're not breathing this in too much because it can kind of choke you. I ended up grabbing 2 more jars because I had so many peppers. I got those filled also. I have my front door open to try and ventilate some of this smell. It's a nice cool day outside today. We're finally getting some cool weather. The day I picked these was, let's see, December 30th, and it was 75 degrees outside. I was sweating trying to pick all these and get my onions planted. All right, now the peppers will float, so I kind of end up pushing them down a little bit to make sure. I'm going to trim that stem. All right, I'm just going to take a paper towel and wipe the rims because this was vinegar. I'm not going to add vinegar to my paper towel. Any vinegar that had spilled over will clean my rim. All right, now I'm going to put my lids on fingertip tight. And I'm going to turn them over. And this is how I'm going to process them, because the heat from my vinegar, and because it is a vinegar item, such a high vinegar content, I'm not going to water bath can these. The heat will seal that, I'm not even sure what you call it, that red on the inside of your rim. The heat will seal that up for me. So I'm just going to turn all these over. And that is my canning. I think this is probably a rebel canning method, but I have done it in the past. It has worked. And I'm just going to leave these sitting here on the counter for 24 hours. And we will be back when our freeze dryer is finished, and we'll check everything out at one time. Okay, so this is everything we're able to get done in the freeze dryer. I was able to get 2.5 quarts of the beef liver. My dogs have already been snacking on it. They love it. And I gave a half of the quart to my son for his dog. And then I was able to get a half pint of the cayennes. I haven't blended up into salt yet because I haven't needed to. Like you saw at the beginning of the video, I already have some cayenne salt. And then I have 2 jars of the jalapenos. Again, I'm going to save those. I was able to get 4 pints of pickled jalapenos and 3 half pints. And then I was able to get 2 quarts of the freeze-dried garlic that I can turn into garlic powder or garlic salt, or just use it like this and reconstitute it for a fresh garlic. So if you're storing freeze-dried goods in a jar with a tight sealing lid, they are good for about a year without any kind of oxygen absorber. But if you'd like to store them, let me actually go grab something that I've done before in the past for you guys, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is a little packet, and I can leave this video linked up in the cards above, where I freeze-dried some meatloaf and green beans that we had had for dinner that was left over. And if you plan on storing it for any longer than about a year, you want to use these Mylar bags and put an oxygen absorber in there, and these will keep fresh for 25 years. All you have to do is add warm water to it, and it reconstitutes, and I show that in the video. So if you want to check that video out, I'm going to leave that in the cards above, and you can just click on that little link and you can go to that video and see how that works out. But I love freeze drying. We have so many things we have freeze dried. I have some strawberries when strawberries were in season here in Louisiana. With the chickens, we have during the summer an abundance of eggs. I freeze dried eggs, and zucchini when I had extra zucchini. Like, we freeze dry a lot. Another common thing I've done is do bone broth, and then I'll have my own bouillon powder. So if you're interested in a freeze dryer, I do have a link in the description box with a discount code. They are kind of pricey, but Harvest Right does promotions throughout the year where you can get them on sale. So if you want to check them out, there is a link in my description box. So we hope you have a nice day. Oh, also, we will be putting, I'll probably put my food preservation playlist here at the end of the video. It'll, I think, pop up on this side, and you can click on that. You can see some different canning things I've done, freeze dryer videos or whatever. And then over here, I'll have my logo where you can click that and subscribe very easily. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.